If you feel like my titties could pack a punch.
I already started.
I got titties. Well, my mic wasn't on, so.
I'm pretty sure they still could hear you. Oh, excuse me.
Oh my god, sit down already. Jeez, what takes so long?
So we got okay. So first of all,
What's ready? Say it with me. What's in the box? That's backwards.
with Zach and Cheryl.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's in the fucking box?
What's in the fucking box? With Zach and Cheryl.
You even have the box. I think that's pretty cool.
I know what's in that box.
I know what's in that box. We've said it multiple times on this podcast. What's in that box? So
there's a blonde lady in that box.
A blonde lady. So I'd like to say thank you to
Pops.
Yeah.
Pepperoni.
To my dad's, because he got it. Because I think it's cool. Pretty nice.
Pretty nice. Pretty nice.
Yeah.
Pretty nice.
So it looks more professional than my spray paint job, I guess. So I have a statistic.
Statistic?
Yeah, that I learned that I wanted to bring up, but also I want to talk
using this word right.
The word statistic, yes. It doesn't sound.
I don't think that word means what you think it means.
Statistic. But I want to talk about something different before I bring that up. But how do you have anything you want to talk about?
Nope.
Ever?
Ever. Never, ever, ever.
Well, how are you doing?
I just want to hide away in my chair, watch The Office, and crochet.
That's sad.
I'm just kidding. But also, it's not sad. It's really fun.
It's not sad. It's not sad. Don't tell me I'm sad.
I'm having a great time.
I'm loving it. I'm having such a great time. It's great. So I heard before I ask you that question, I heard. Yeah. I heard somebody talk about their relationship the other day, and it reminded me of me and you, and I understand that like me and you are different. I understand me.
Shaquille O'Neal.
I understand.
Does this thing work?
I understand that like our relationship is different, but they were talking about like how their significant other used to do things when they first got together.
Rude.
And then like now, like they don't.
Way to bring that up.
And so no. But it got me. It wasn't about that.
Way to be like, this reminds me of us.
No. In the opposite. In the opposite way.
Oh, okay.
Because like there are things that me and you have done through our whole relationship and still do, even like when we don't see each other or when like one of us isn't really feeling like being around anybody.
We ain't feeling it.
Yeah, we still do things. So I was gonna ask you, do you have any like little thing? Okay. Well, I do. So
go ahead.
Do you have any like little things that like I do for you, or that I do that like you appreciate, or that you even think about?
I don't know. I feel like I would acknowledge them more if they weren't there anymore, because I suck at that.
But not with their constant.
Yeah, because I've always been bad at that. Like I've
at noticing little things.
Yeah, like I've even had like other people point things out in my relationships because I was bitching about how they don't do like whatever. And they're like, "What are you talking about? He did this for you."
Dude,
and I was
I'm fucking doing everything. What are you talking about?
And then like someone else is like, "What do you mean? They do this for you all the time." And I'm like, "Do they?" So
they do?
So I feel like I'm just really bad at like noticing. It's not my love language. Like, you know what I mean? Like acts of service and like well, like like, I don't know. If it's outside of my love language, I guess I just don't really see it or acknowledge it. So, I mean, I don't know. I one of my love languages is physical touch, so I notice when you do that. Like I notice when you're, but I don't know, that's never gone away. That's always been
Yeah.
like
Well, that's kind of I don't know, and I kind of knew that you wouldn't have an answer for this
I like when you make me a cup of coffee.
because you don't. But yeah, but like that's what I'm talking about. Like things like that. Like you do little things for me that I appreciate. Even I don't know if you know I appreciate it because I'm not like you did a really good job. Thanks. But like even letting me sleep in when you really want to spend time with me, or like rubbing my hair, like petting my head, or like putting even the little things. And again, it's like a constant thing. So like you were saying, if it went away, probably notice it more. But like I notice it every now and then, and sometimes I take it for granted. It's just like a thing that we do.
Mm-hmm.
But like even you like putting your leg over me when we sleep, and like me holding your thigh, like that, like those, I don't know, those kind of things, like the little things
Mm-hmm.
that are like, hey, I still like you, or like I'm thinking of, not that you don't like it, but like I'm thinking of you as well, more than just like.
Well, I mean, oh, I get it, because there are times, because I do like sleeping, like, separated,
Mhm.
but I also like snuggling, so, like, there are times when I reach over to put my hand on you or something, because I'm not really feeling like snuggling, so it's, like, my way of saying, like, here's my hand, but please don't put your legs over me, like,
Yeah, kind of like I do when
please don't smash my body with your thighs.
kind of like when I roll the other way, and I like, whether you're awake or not, I'll like touch your leg, or like
Yeah.
something like, hey, it's not because I don't
It's
like
not you, it's Harper.
It's not because I don't like you.
Yeah. I'm trying to teach Wyatt that. It's not you, it's Harper. Because he always wants to sleep on the wrong side of me. And then when I turn, he's like he literally rolls on top of me. Like, and wants to lay on top of me. And I'm like, okay. Like.
But like the reason I bring that up is because the person that I was talking to was talking about how, and this is like a small example, but they were talking about when they first got together, their significant other would like take them out for dates, like to like go to like McDonald's, or like thing, like not like fancy dates, just like stuff like that.
I mean, we've done some. We had that date where we went to thrift stores.
Yeah, and then like when they got married, like they don't do that anymore, and like they do not like, aren't like, hey, do you want to go to the park or whatever? It's kind of just like we're sitting on the couch, and like, do you want to sit with me, or do you want me to sit with you? And that's kind of like the extent of it or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's what I told them. I was like, what other things do they do? And they were like, what do you mean? I was like, well, like it all becomes, especially when you get married, even more so when you're married with kids, it gets more about a comfortability than it does the fact that you don't love them anymore, or don't feel the same about. Just because like
I'm a homebody. If you don't ask me to leave the house, it'll be months before.
Yeah, just because somebody's not
I think about leaving the house.
Just because somebody's not like, hey, do you want to go do this anymore, doesn't mean that they don't have the same feelings for you. It just means that they're more comfortable just spending time with you. And I'm not saying that you should ever lose that, because like even me and you, even with you, like being at home, there are still things of like that isn't, I don't know how to describe that. It's not boring. Like,
yeah,
I still touch your butt. Like, we still flirt with each other. Like things like that. I think that
even like today where we're like watching separate things and sitting on separate couches, it's not like we're not communicating with each other or still being involved in each other's stuff. Like I mean, I have superhero gifts, so I can watch 2 movies at the same time, but you know, I still laughed at your show while watching my movie while crocheting. Like it's, you know, and we can still talk. We can still like it's not like be quiet. I'm watching a movie. Like it's. I acknowledge that you're doing your own thing and I'm doing my own thing, but we're still doing it together.
And that was well, and that was one of the things that we talked about early on in our relationship is like it's okay to be apart together.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like it's okay to like be watching other things but still like sit next to each other.
Yeah.
Or like even across the room.
Yeah.
Like spending time is still spending time.
It's not that like it's not like we're ignoring each other. It's not like I've got my head in my phone and you know, I'm totally ignoring everything you say. Like I mean, yeah, I do get hyper fixated on my phone sometimes, and you have to take a couple sentences for me to be like, wait, what?
You're talking?
Whoa, wait. There's another voice happening.
It's not the 10 in my head.
But it's not like I'm purposely like shutting you out.
Yeah.
And like we both acknowledge that too. Like I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, and I pause the phone or put it down for a second or whatever, so that way we can, whatever we're doing, communicate or whatever. I don't know. But it's also just being comfortable with that and knowing that that's enough sometimes.
Well, yeah, and there's
but
times.
Then also knowing sometimes that that's not enough, and that both people also do need like a little more sometimes.
Like they're like, and I know that sometimes it feels aggressive, but like over time, I've learned that it's not that you're purposely ignoring me. It's just that, like you said, you just need a couple minutes. So there are times that I'll like go to talk to you, and I understand it's frustrating both ways because like I've gotten frustrated when you've tried to do it to me, and you've gotten frustrated when I've done it to you. But like when it is quiet and we are watching like something, and you're in the middle of watching something, and then that other person is like, hey, and like tries to talk to you, and you're like, okay, and pause it, and then like we get done talking, and then you go to start it, and they're like, oh, by the way.
Yeah, you do that to me all the time.
But like
you take these long pauses, and the girls are trying to tell you about this, but you don't listen to them about it either. You take these long pauses between sentences that are like awkward air. It's like dead air. It's like
I think it's just I don't think it's as long as you guys think it is. I don't think it is.
It's long.
I don't think it is.
It's long enough for me to be like, oh, is he done talking?
But that's good. But that's my.
Is it for sure?
But that's my point.
Is he done talking?
No, but that's my point. Okay. I don't think it's that long.
Okay, I'll start the video. I think we're okay to start the video. Oh, he's not done.
I don't think it's that long. I think your brains, you and the girls, for the same reason, I think your brains just think it's that long because you're already over it. You're already past it. So like my 2-second, even 15, 20, 30-second pause feels like 5 minutes to you. When I don't think it actually is.
Next time I'm gonna time it.
I don't think it is.
Next time I'm gonna pull up the timer.
But anyway,
before I start my video.
But going back.
And instead of starting my video, I'm gonna start the timer, and then when he says, "Oh, by the way," I'm gonna stop it.
So what if you're wrong?
Then that's on me.
Then you're never gonna tell me what the actual time is. So we're never gonna talk about it again. Not. And you're just gonna be like,
And from then on, I'm going to count in my head 10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
And it doesn't matter.
4.
It doesn't
3,
matter
2,
if it's under
1.
10 seconds. It doesn't matter if it's under 10 seconds for 2 straight years. The one day it's a minute. She's going to be like, see, I told you. I told you it was that long. Anyway, no, but.
We have to have something to fight about.
Fuck you.
We don't fight enough.
That's like. It's like probably the funniest thing, especially that you did it in front of
the girls.
In front of the girls, was like, we don't fight enough. Fuck you. But going back to what I was saying though, like I think And I'm not pointing it like at you of like you should be better. I'm just saying it in general for relationships. I think that most relationships should acknowledge the little things.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the reason why people get into
I think I acknowledge them
arguments
in the time. I think just I have a hard time like
overall.
Yeah, it's like when you're in a fight and somebody's like, "Oh yeah, when did I say that?" And you're like, "Oh, I don't know. I just know you fucking said it."
I don't fucking know, but I know that it's there.
Keep a fucking log of the time and date.
You know that's one of my biggest pet peeves in arguments is that right there.
It's mine too.
Because I'm like, because I've said this for years. Because it doesn't matter if you did. The person that says that in an argument of like, when did I say that? If you were to be like August 10th at 10 p.m. It was sunny outside. They'd be like, no, that's not when it happened. So why are you asking?
Yeah, and not only that, but they'd argue it. Well, that's not the context I meant it in, or it was just a joke, or whatever. Yeah, I know. But it's just asking someone when I said that is just a manipulation tactic to get you out of trouble. Because then you could be like, see, you don't even know. Like,
yeah, because if they can't give you that date and time, then it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but I think I think that that's a big part of why people get resilient is not the word that I wanted to use. Resentful is because they're looking for, in relationships, they're looking for the grand gesture of when you first start dating. Everybody, and not that I'm saying you shouldn't do these things for your significant other, because I think that that's a big part of holding like that love and relationship like up. I think it's a good part to have in a relationship. But I feel like most relationships are looking for that buy the dozen roses or buy out the theater or those grand gestures that everybody does when they first start dating because they're trying to impress you.
Yeah.
And they don't notice like the little things.
The little stuff.
Like making
in-betweeners.
Yeah, like making a cup of coffee or like washing their clothes for them or like giving them 15 minutes to take a shower. Honeydews. Yeah, just the little things.
Yeah.
And that's where relationships get resentful, is because you have a person, and it can be both sides. You have a person that does all these little things and gets no recognition or nothing out of it. And they go, well, what's the point of even doing this if it's not?
I know this is going to sound really silly because I don't know. It's going to sound silly to multiple different people for multiple different reasons.
Okay.
So I'm going to say what it is, and then I'm going to backtrack with why that means something to me.
Silly.
But one of the things I love that you do since we've had Wyatt is you ask me if you can shower.
Yeah.
Like, you don't just grab a towel, get up, and go shower. Like, you ask me, like, hey, can I go take a shower? Like is it okay if I go take a shower? And I love that so much because it gives me the freedom to say, oh, I can ask.
To say no?
Gives me the freedom to say no. It gives me that mindset of like, oh, I can also ask to take a shower. Mm-hmm. Like, I can also be like, hey, it's his kid too.
Yeah, like, I don't have to wait for somebody to tell me that it's okay.
That it's okay. Or I don't have to wait until he's sleeping or whatever. Like, it's his kid too. Mm-hmm. And he acknowledges that. And it's that you acknowledge that I'm not alone in this. Mm-hmm. Like, you acknowledge that you're here. You're a parent too for him. And is it okay if I go shower, or do you want me to stay here and help watch him? Mm-hmm. And it's like, I think the reason it means so much to me that you do that is because of where I came from in relationships. Yeah.
I didn't see what time it was when we started.
Because of where I came from in a relationship with children, I didn't have anyone who respected the fact that I was a human being too.
It was your kids, and
yeah, I was the designated parent. Mm-hmm. Like, I was the default parent, and it wasn't just default because of the children. Like, it wasn't just the children being like, mom, mm-hmm. like it is with Wyatt. Like, it's like that with Wyatt just because I'm the only one home. Mm-hmm. But if I wasn't the only one home, he'd be asking both of us. Mm-hmm. So I'm not the default parent in this situation because of your lack of anything. And I think that's just, I don't know, I really appreciate, like, I don't even think about it until you ask me if you can take a shower. And my brain's like, why are you asking? And then I'm like, oh, he's asking. Like, oh, that's sweet. Like, and I don't even know if you mean it that way or if you think about it like that. But, like, just the fact that you do it in general is, like, I don't know, it's just really cool.
Yeah. Because of that, and again, for anybody's relationship, they're gonna have to figure that out themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's all different. Like the things that me and I say this saying that me and Cheryl's relationship isn't like perfect. I feel like it's as close as it can get for us.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to figure out what works for your relationship. The things that work for us are personal to us. So it's not like me holding your butt when we sleep. Like that's personal to
Yeah, that doesn't mean that your partner is gonna be like, oh yeah, like you're not gonna go to bed tonight holding your partner's butt, and they're gonna be like, what are you doing?
Good? Yeah.
No, thank you. I don't want any.
Yeah, but but you got to find out what works for you. But like I said,
communicate, talk about it.
But that's what I was gonna say. But that also,
your partner is not a mind reader. Yeah. You're not a mind reader.
We've talked about, and I've said that for years, communication will help any relationship, especially when you're going through negative things or like the both of you you aren't connected.
Yeah. You're not in the same vibe or whatever's happening.
Yeah, because and it took a lot of communication for me and Cheryl to be in the spot that we are, which is why I feel like it helps in situations like that because we've already had those conversations. We've already had the conversations of, hey, we need to communicate when we're in bad moods. So when that comes up, our brain already triggers of like, have you communicated this?
Yeah. Like, not only have we said we need to communicate when we're in bad moods, but we've already talked about, like, sometimes one of us isn't going to be able to communicate at that moment. And that's okay. Like, then that's for us. That's not saying that that's going to be okay for you guys. Mm-hmm. We acknowledge that not so much Zach, well, he does a little bit. I don't know if he acknowledges it, though.
What?
But not so much Zach, but me for sure is when I'm feeling targeted or like backed in a corner per se, I get really nasty and mean, and I don't mean any of the things I'm saying, not really. And so when I have that feeling, instead of being like, yeah, let's talk, I immediately go to, no, I just need some time alone.
Can we talk about this later?
Mm-hmm. And that's okay for us. I'm not saying that's okay for everyone. That's okay for us because we acknowledge that I'm going to say things that neither of us want me to say. Mm-hmm. Neither of us want me to, like, he doesn't want to hear it. I don't want to say it. And it's not stuff that's real or that I mean. It's just, it's a fight or flight mechanism that takes over when I'm feeling trapped, and I'm a fighter. I'm not a flyer. Mm-hmm. And so I'm training myself to be a flyer. I'm training myself to walk away from those situations. And like, we communicated that ahead of time. Like, if I'm feeling some kind of way, I need to be able to step away for a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I need you to be okay with that. And I understand if that makes you mad or angry, and we can talk about that too. But like, in the time, I'm going to need that space, or our argument's going to turn out to be a whole bloodbath. Mm-hmm.
I feel like we've done pretty well. We haven't really had any like huge arguments.
No, I mean, we've had heated moments.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, neither of us likes to be yelled at. So the minute either of us start raising our voice, we're like, don't fucking yell at me.
Yeah. And I've done, which is really funny to me, and I'm going to move on to my statistic after this, but it's just really funny to me because I didn't think this was going to happen, but it did. And I know I could see that it was frustrating for you, but it was kind of funny for me afterward because we had spent almost 5 years together. Mm-hmm. And I had never really like done that to you. Like you had gotten heated or like raised your volume, and I kind of just blew it off anytime like we would have like disagreements or whatever. But there was one time specifically because you had done it to me earlier that week of like, you're not going to raise your voice to me, that I did it to you. And I was like, no, you're not going to raise your voice to me. If you're going to yell at me, then we're not going to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
And you said something else in the same tone. And I was like, I'm not talking to you if you're going to be like this. And it pissed you off so much that you like left. And we ended up like talking about it.
Yeah, I had to go cool off.
Yeah, I think like the next day. But it was like one of those things that like, you even said that after. It was one of those things that like clicked in your head of like, oh, like this goes both ways.
Yeah,
like, it's not like,
yeah.
Like,
it's not
just
you yell at me. It's
yeah.
okay. We both need to not yell at each other.
Yeah.
Like when we're getting heated, we need to learn to just sit calm.
Yeah.
You know, whatever we need to do. I also have a tendency of standing.
Or not take it personal. Like I know that's a big thing for you.
Like, you know, I'm starting to get really defensive in an argument when I'm standing over you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the bear theory. Like, I feel like I have to be bigger than the person so that way they're scared of me. And it's not like I want you to be scared of me in that way. It's more like a...
Take me serious.
It's more like a shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's more of like that. Like, not... Like, it's not like I'm trying to get in a fight with the bear. It's that I want the bear to take off.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, I don't know, but it usually doesn't work with most people. Especially men, they don't like to be.
Yeah.
They don't like to be stood over.
But also, going back to my point about the little things and why like that whole thing, why I want to talk to you about it when it got brought up to me, is just because like I really, people ask, I'm not saying this as like a like we're awesome sort of thing, I'm not, but like there are multiple people that ask me because of them knowing our relationship and seeing us in the wild, like seeing us
Zach and Cheryl in the wild,
but like they're
influencers in the wild.
But there are like multiple people that are like how you guys have been together almost 9 years. You guys have been together this long and you're still like happy and you still like being around each other and like are loving and like stuff like that. Like how does that work? And it's not fake. I mean, like we did a whole podcast about it. Like it's not fake either. It's real. And the people that know that it's real like have asked me or you like how that works. And that's like really my main thing that I tell people is just like it's those little things.
Mm-hmm.
It's knowing your partner. It's knowing like those little things that they need or will help them,
mm-hmm.
and giving that to them. Like everybody wants.
It's also a sacrifice. Everything in a relationship is a sacrifice. Just because you're heated about some behavior doesn't mean like you have to be the winner of whatever's happening. Like I don't know how many times I've sacrificed like my feelings or whatever because I knew Zach was in a tough spot and I knew he needed something.
Mm-hmm.
And like you can communicate it out later, you can communicate it out at the time, but like you still, if you know your spouse is needing something, especially from you, why not give it to them? If you love them the way you say you do.
Well, it's the same theory as, and I'm gonna beat a dead horse with this statement, but like you're my best friend.
Yeah.
Is if your best friend was in a tight spot or if your best friend needed you,
yeah,
you wouldn't think about it. You wouldn't.
No, you're gonna get in your car at 3 a.m.
Yeah, you wouldn't ask any. Yeah, you wouldn't ask any questions. But yet, with significant others who should be,
we just expect so much from them that we forget that they also expect stuff from us.
Yeah, and it's not, you're not giving up yourself to help your significant other. And
if you are giving up yourself to help your significant other, is it because it's one-sided?
Mm-hmm.
Is it because they're not giving back to you? And that's also something you need to like reflect upon
and communicate about.
Well, and if it's not communicatable, then leave. Like I don't know what else to. I'm such an advocate of if it's not right, then
Don't.
leave.
Yeah.
Like
I've said that. I feel, and I've said that earlier when we first started doing this. I've said that to you for years now. That stigma of you need to stay in a relationship forever, even if it's toxic and not good for
No.
you. That's tired. It's old and tired.
Yeah.
It's an old way of thinking. It's a bad way of thinking.
No, if it works for you, it works for you. But if it's not working for you and you're not happy,
Yeah.
why are you doing it? And if you're the only one contributing, why are you there?
And my example for that being relationships with or marriages with kids.
Mhm.
Everybody always is like, well, I need to stay together for the kids, or well, do I really want to put the kids through a divorce and a breakup and whatever? I'm gonna tell you right now,
It's better for those kids to see.
Long term, it's worse for kids to see a damaged relationship that they will
Continue.
take on into their relationships and mimic and think is acceptable than if you were to get rid of it and they see that you don't have to accept a bad relationship.
Yeah.
And I feel like everybody in those situations looks short term. They go, well, they're going to be upset if we break up or get a divorce. Yes, all kids are going to be, especially the amount of time you take making that decision. Yes, they're going to be upset short term. But like I said, long term, going into their own relationships and the thing that they mimic, because every child mimics their parents' relationships and how they feed into that in some way or another. Long term, they're going to realize that if you do make that decision, because that isn't the right relationship for you, they're going to realize, oh, my parent was in this situation and they didn't accept this, so I don't have to accept this either. And it makes better people in relationships than people that are codependent and staying in relationships because, well, my parents stayed together even though they hated each other, so why can't I stay with this person even though they make me feel like shit all the time? And I think I've said that about me and you, with the girls. Representation of a good relationship helps. At least I like to think it does. I don't know. We'll see with the girls once they get older.
I mean, there's still so much trauma and damage from my past relationship that I don't know for sure.
But I think overall is what I'm saying. Like, yeah. I think kids seeing a good, and not fake wise, not like I should put on a good face.
No, I think it's good that they see us.
Yeah.
But I can't promise that they're going to follow it.
I know, but what I'm saying is that know that it's a possibility. I said this to my sister last night, and I've said this to you. The ideology of no good men exist
is bullshit.
Feeds women thinking no good men exist.
Yeah, well, not only does it feed that, but you're gonna what's the word I'm thinking of? You're just gonna take what you're gonna just be okay with. Accept? I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know the word you're
just gonna be, you're just gonna take whatever comes your way and you're not gonna actually thrive for better. Like, you're just gonna you're not
gonna search out. Well, that's what I was gonna say. If every woman has this, or guy, I guess, if every person has this ideology that they've always been told that no good men exist, one, they're not going to have that as a standard. Which I've always said, everybody should have a standard, or else you're putting yourself in the position to be in a shitty relationship.
Now, no one's perfect. I'm not saying
like a checklist. I'm just saying
if you're out there looking for fucking knight in shining armor riding on a fucking white steed, like, good luck. You might find it eventually, but you might also be in your 60s by the time you get there. Yeah.
But like the good men thing, though, the problem with that, and me and you have talked about that. The problem with that thought process is that most women in general, because they're told that good men don't exist, they, instead of having a good man as this is what a good man is, they double that. of like, well, if a good man exists, they would do this and 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 this, instead of the main premise of being good to me, being good if you have kids, being good to my kids, you know, looking out for us, working hard, like those good qualities. Instead of seeing those when it comes, they just think that it's a mythical thing. So they're like, well, he would also do this and also do this and also do this. And if they're not, then they're like, oh, he's not a good man. Well, and then they accept less instead of I feel like if we would be honest, and if we would be honest with each other more, I feel like most women would understand that there are, I'm not saying more, because there's a lot of shitty people out there, but like there's a good percentage of good guys out there still, like to this day. And you just have to be able to see them when it happens. And also you have to be honest with yourself. If you're on, everybody says they want a good guy, but I'm telling you right now, I've been around people, both men and women, and they don't want the good person. They say they do because they want their life to be easy, but they don't. And so you got to be honest with yourself about that too. Like, there are time and places. I'm going to tell you right now, and I've told you this before. I had traits, but I wasn't always this person. There was a time where me and you would have never worked. And
we would have. There's a time where we would have been super toxic.
I would have never been as good with you or to you as I am right now.
Had not I been through the things I've been through, had not you been through the things you've been through.
And so also it takes
other things in your life are leading you to where you need to be.
Yeah. So my statistic.
So when doors open, you gotta go. You gotta walk through them.
So my statistic, and this was this was interesting because I thought of it in a different kind of way. So there's a statistic that men over 40, their testosterone significantly drops. So their sex drive significantly drops around 40-ish, right? 60, most women's sex drive goes up.
Yeah.
After 60.
Yeah.
So, but that statistic was the one, but I thought about it, and I feel like it's really weird that the thought of like older women is like they don't want to have sex, they're tired, they're like, as far as what's pushed from a men's perspective is like women don't ever want to have sex when they're old, ever. And I think that's,
I didn't know that was a perspective.
It is a thing. Well, outside of porn.
Because I was going to say, in the women's world, we know very well.
No, I know
what old ladies are doing.
But my point being, I feel, and I don't know if it's on purpose or if it's just a thought process. But my thought on that is that men, because they lose their sex drive after 40, that it's like, oh, well, they don't want to do it either. You know what I mean? Like, it's like an excuse of like, well, I can't do it, so they don't want to do it either.
I think as far as, I mean, don't quote me because I don't know. I don't know the actual, I don't know the science on it. But I think a lot of the men losing their sex drive after 40 has nothing to do with actually losing sex drive or like a chemical imbalance. I think it's more so the lack of ability. Because once you get to a certain age, you start dealing with things like, dysfunction.
Yeah.
So I think it's more so the lack of ability and ego that comes with it. Because men are very egotistical.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's
stuff.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like the ego part of it of like, I can't do it, so they don't want, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get
so like
that.
They don't want to do it. So that's why like the stigma of like women just don't want to have sex when they're older is a thing. I feel like it's a man generated falsity of But also that got me thinking, and I know some of these answers, but like, have you, and I know that we've kind of talked about this over time, but like, have you noticed your sex drive change in ways over time?
Yeah.
Or do you, again, I know that there's multiple reasons, but do you feel like it's age or other things, or do you have a problem with your sex drive changing?
I mean, relationship wise, yes, but as physical wise, no. I don't know.
Relationship wise?
Well, yeah, I mean, I care about what I bring to the table as far as our relationship or relationships in general. But at the same time, like,
so
I don't really care that I don't, I mean, it's changing though, so I don't really know. But like before, when I had no sex drive, if you would have asked me, I would have been like, yeah, I really don't care that I don't have a sex drive. Like, I just don't care to have sex. Like, I don't care. Like, it doesn't bother me one way or another. Like, it bothered me that I didn't feel like I was being good to you about it. But
I was gonna ask if you meant like before me, or like.
But me physically, like, I didn't care.
Yeah,
like,
it didn't bother you.
Yeah, it didn't upset me that I wasn't driven to do anything. Like, it was, I don't know. I just don't.
Whatever. There was a time where I can't remember how I said it. I said something to you about how we hadn't had sex in a while, and you were like, "Oh yeah, that's right." Like,
because it's so out of mind for me. It's so out of like.
I feel like it's partially a good thing,
but it's also unfair though. It's unfair. You can say that it's unfair because it is. And I acknowledge that, and I've worked on it, and and things are changing. I do feel differently. Like, it's not like I'm 100% like, if I never did it again right now, I'm good. Like, but at the same time, if someone told me I could never do it again right now, I'd be like, oh well.
I did it already.
Yeah, like, like, me making the choice not to ever do it again, no, I'd probably choose to keep having sex. But like, if someone was like, you can never have sex again, I'd be like,
all right,
okay.
Like,
oh no.
But like,
big defeat.
Have you?
They're like, if you ever have sex again, we'll kill your whole family. I'm like, oh shucks.
Oh man.
I guess I'm really gonna have to strive.
I guess I'm really gonna have to tighten down on raising these kids. But like, obviously over the years it's changed. Not even just with me, but like.
No, I mean,
before you, whenever.
I had quite the sex drive when I was younger. Like, I mean, like, intensively. And
it's kind of like eggs in your body. You only have so much, so you used it up so early.
I used it up early, yeah.
Now your body's like, we don't even have any.
Yeah. What do you mean? We used it all.
You were there.
But then, and like I've told you, but I've been through things too since then. You know what I mean?
Well, that's kind of why I said, it's unfair.
I've also been through things before then too that could have been the reason why I was acting out in that manner as well. So, there's a lot that comes behind like sex for me.
And that's kind of why I said that, and I feel like that's an unfair question to ask you specifically because of that. But
I don't know, because I feel like in today's generation, there's not many women who haven't gone through at least half of the things I've gone through.
And that's
so I don't know if it's an unfair question. And
that's kind of what I was thinking when I was thinking about this and talking to you about it, is that I feel like, and I've said this before, there's a big thing with men and women, or just partners in general, but that the other one only sees face value. They only see we're not having sex, or they're not doing this, or it would be really nice if this happened, or whatever. That they're not seeing the other side.
Yeah.
Like,
and this one's difficult to say. They just need to communicate it because sometimes it's not as easy as communication. And like sometimes communicating what you've been through as a person, I'm not even gonna say as a female, just men have gone through this shit too, that they struggle with it. And it's like, it's hard to talk about. It's not easy to talk about. I've talked about my stuff hundreds and hundreds of times. You've heard it. You've heard me talk to other people about it. I've talked to you about it. But talking about it, no matter how many times I've talked about it, it getting brought up again, or me having to talk to another person about it, it never gets easier.
And also,
it never gets easier.
Also, even when we talked about it, it took a few times for you to even like
let some of the stuff
really
out.
talk about it.
Yeah.
Like
there's some stuff I can like let you know, and there's some stuff that I'm just like, that's private for me.
Well, I don't know if you realize this, but I do, and my memory with you is very good. My memory with a lot of other things is kind of wishy-washy. But with you is very good. But there were times where you brought it up like I already knew the whole story. And you did that which I mean is whatever. Like I never called you out on it. I was never like, okay, so what else? But like the way you brought it up in that manner, one was good for me because it made me, the fact that you brought it up in that manner made me feel like, oh, okay, so she's not trying to hide this. She just thinks that like I already know it. So like, and then like the more you brought it up and the more that we talked about it, the more I really started to realize that it was more, I don't know if you consciously did it, but it was more of you like, okay, let's see. Like, okay, let's see if like, no, okay, I can tell him this. Okay, I can tell him this. And I don't know. And plus, it helps. It helps with. Again, not to talk myself up, but it helped me be more understanding in other things, especially when it came to sex. Is that knowing things from your past, and not just that, but like other things, when things would come up, it made me more understanding of like, oh, I get it. Like I understand why like she feels this way, or why this might be a hang up, or like why she needs a pause right now, or like why she's emotional at this particular like
and there's even to this day, there's still some stuff that I've been through in my life that I still play off like it was not as bad as it was, or I make fun light of it or whatever, and I make it sound like it wasn't what it was. And I mean, the longer we've been together, the more some of that stuff has like come out as like more serious situations. But like, it's just like, that's what I mean by some of this stuff is really hard to talk about. And sometimes when you're with a person who's been through like sexual stuff, like sexual assaults and stuff, even if they're not acknowledging that it was a sexual assault, if it seems weird to you, treat it like it's weird. Don't like, you don't have to make them know it. Like, you know what I mean?
Like you don't have to be like, hey, guess what? You went through.
Like you don't have to be like, you were raped.
Yeah.
But like, acknowledge that when it comes, like if you're in a relationship with a person like that, acknowledge that when a situation comes up and you're confused about why they're acting out that way. Be like, okay, maybe this has to do with that. And like, just, you don't have to bring it up to them. You don't have to like put it, because they don't, you know, a lot of times we ignore it for so long that even if it was brought up to us, we're like, no.
Yeah.
That was fun. We had fun. It was whatever.
It wasn't that big a deal.
Yeah. And I'm guilty of it. Like I have a situation that happened that I make light of all the time. Like, I'm constantly joking about it. Like, I don't know, like, I don't know. And it's just like I know.
Yeah.
I know it was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But what am I going to do about it now? You know what I mean? So now I just laugh through it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it doesn't affect me. It doesn't mean that there's times where Zach touches me a certain way and it doesn't flashbacks or something doesn't happen, or if I feel cornered or something, I don't feel a certain way. It does still like come up, like, and I'm, for the most part, I'm pretty good at like acknowledging that it came up, letting it go, and moving on. But there's times where it doesn't. There's times where it lingers. There's times where,
And just like in that regard, like sexual wise, is the same thing we talked about like past relationships when me and you first got together. Like, I think I think a lot of people need to acknowledge that that's a thing. And I said this about when me and you talked about having past relationships and acknowledging that we have a whole nother life before me and you that actually happened, that we can't expect.
It's not just a book or a story that we read. It's like,
and it's the same sexual wise. Like, when you're in a relationship, you need to realize that there are countless sexual experiences before you. So you can't expect
even if it wasn't sex, like there's so much more to sexual experiences than sex. Like, even a touch can be a lead to something later in life. Like, whether it's negative or positive, even being touched a certain way that made you feel a certain way can lead something later in life that can confuse another person.
Like, we to that point, me and you talked about past relationships when we first got together, and I've said this many times, but we both acknowledged when we first got together, like, you have a whole 8 years and 2 kids with somebody. I have a whole 8 years of a lot of other shit with somebody else. Like, that's going to be brought into this relationship at some point, and we both need to acknowledge that we're not each other's first relationship.
Yeah, we're not that person.
Yeah, like, there's going to be things that are positive and negative brought into this relationship from those things. And to that point, I feel like most people don't acknowledge that when it comes to like intimacy or like sex with their significant other.
I don't think people acknowledge trauma in general.
I completely
don't think people acknowledge, because trauma can even come from small things. Like, you being afraid of spiders in your house, that's trauma. That's trauma. That's trauma from watching someone, when you were a child, be afraid of spiders.
Freak out over spiders.
Or scream at you to get away from the spiders. That's all it is. It's just trauma.
But with the whole sex thing, I feel like people need to acknowledge that in those moments too. And like I said at the beginning of me bringing this up, I feel like most people are face value when it comes to that, and they only think selfishly. Even if you know a backstory or know like the trauma that somebody's been through, like sexually or intimacy wise, I feel like a lot of people are selfish in that regard of like, yeah, I know that
that happened to you, but I didn't do that.
Yeah.
It wasn't me.
Yeah, but it wasn't me, so why are you taking it out on me?
Yeah.
And it's not, and with all trauma, it's not a personal thing. No. It's not like nobody has
choose.
Nobody has the conscious thought of like, I'm feeling this trauma come up today, so I'm going to put it on them.
Yeah.
It just kind of happens, and I feel like being understanding of that helps.
We also don't get to choose when we feel these things. Like, if we got to choose that, we wouldn't feel them ever, because I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to have to go through it. I don't want to deal with it. But
like, even things with you and I haven't had so many in our relationship, but it has some. But it has happened. But even like things like with you, there are times that like we've been doing stuff, and I've been like, okay, can we like stop for a minute? Because like. And it still happens. And like I said, like being understanding of that helps long term, because then you feel it creates an open space. And I heard somebody talk about this a long time ago. it creates an open space of communication and understanding. That is the most intimate thing that two people can engage in. That is the most, like, how do they describe it? It's like an open wound. It's like the vulnerable. It's like the most vulnerable thing that two people can do.
Mm-hmm.
And so having the ability to not only discuss in those moments, but also that, like, playfulness and, like, you don't have to be perfect at this thing. Both of those combined create so much space that, like, when something like that comes up, it's not a mood or day killer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Also, listening. We talk about communicating all the time. We talk.
Sure you listen.
So I know. I just thought about this. Me and you talk about how important communication is all the time, but not once do we touch on the fact that you have to listen. Just because you're communicating doesn't mean you get to not listen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sorry, but as far as I'm concerned, there is no greater treachery than exposing myself to someone for them not even to listen or not acknowledge what was said or not, like, at least have some sort of empathy towards the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I was to come to you and be like, my grandmother fell down the stairs and broke her hip, and you were like, I don't care.
Cool.
Like, that, anybody, like, even if I said that to someone on the street, you'd be like, what the fuck, man?
Mm-hmm.
So why would you do that to your partner?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you're doing. Like, if you're like, if I come to you with a serious thing that I'm going through, and you're like, I don't understand how it's my problem.
Mm-hmm.
Or, okay, so what do you want me to do?
Well, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or what do you want me to do about it? Mm-hmm. You're not listening to them. You're not empathizing. You're not trying to understand them. And you're being a total fucking jerk, to be honest. Like, and you know, ask yourself, do you really fucking love this person? Because if you did, you wouldn't treat them like that.
And I mean, we could talk about this forever, but
yeah.
And again, going back to you need to understand your partner too. If you have a partner that isn't good at that sort of thing, not that they don't care about you and want that, but there's some people that just can't deal with emotions or like traumatic things. Like, they, for whatever reason, those are triggers for them to where they don't know how to react.
Yeah.
And if you're one of those people in a relationship, I think you need to be honest in those moments. Like, not be a jerk and be like, yeah, how is that my problem?
Yeah.
But be like, I don't know how to help you. Like,
and I've said that to you before.
I don't know
because I don't deal with crying well.
Yeah.
And like, so, and that we're getting there. So I just
learned not to cry.
No. So, like, and I've communicated that with you. Like, hey, I know that I probably seem like a jerk, or like I probably seem like insincere, but I just don't know how to handle people crying, especially men. And I don't mean that in a sexist way. I just grew up a certain way, and I've never had to deal with it before. And it's not that I don't want you to cry, because I do want you to cry. I want you to feel feelings. I want you to express yourself. It's just that I don't know how to deal with it. When it's happening, it's like everything in me turns into molasses. And I'm just like, and now I'm in panic because I don't know where to go. It's like all of a sudden I'm trapped in a small black box and I can't get out because I can't leave your side because that's fucked up.
Be like, all right, cool, bye.
But I also have no clue what to do. So it's like being in a black box. It's like not being able to hear, see, or, anything. It's like, and I don't mean it like against you, like, hey, don't fucking cry at me. Like, it's, it's something I have to work through in myself. And that's the way I communicate to him. Like, this is something that I'm going to have to work through in me because this is who you are and I don't want you to change who you are. But it's going to take a little bit because I'm not used to this behavior. And so it's going to take a little bit of working through me to get to where you're at and to be able to be there for you in the way that you need.
Those are so nice.
Yeah.
But going back to that space though, not only dealing not only dealing with trauma and like understanding that, but that goofy side too. I feel like it's, and I know that I've done it with you, not so much anymore. But I know I've done it with you before for whatever. I haven't really explored that part of it, but I'm sure there's a reason. But like when you get together with somebody, especially like marriage wise, and like you start having sex and whatever, and you kind of get a feel for like, oh, this is the way we have sex now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this is what's comfortable for the both of us, sort of thing. Like you kind of never step outside, and it's I'd say terrifying. It's terrifying to be like, hey, do you want to try this? Or like, do you want to like see if you're into this? Or like, it would be really nice if like we did this, like sort of thing.
Especially for couples who aren't as open as me and you are off the bat, it's like I couldn't imagine what it would be like to go, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine what it would be like, because I'm not, I don't really have any like weird kinks that I'm like, well, you know what I mean? Like I'm not really that taboo, other than what I like doing to my partners.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as that goes, I don't really care what people think, because it's not
that big a deal.
Well, it doesn't affect me negatively in the public's eye like it does them.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I don't care. You want to do this? We can do it. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't imagine being someone where I couldn't imagine having a kink where it is like difficult in the public. Like it is socially unacceptable in the public eye, or you are going to be seen a certain way by being open about it. Mm-hmm. And having a partner that you don't know how they feel about it, but also wanting to express that to them. Like, well, that's what I can imagine how difficult that would be.
Well, that's what I was saying. Even with like me and you, like there have been times, like I said, not so much anymore, but like there were times, especially like when we first got together, up until we got married. There were times where I'm like, there's no point in even bringing this up, because like, and I heard somebody say this about their marriage, and it kind of clicked in my head that I've thought this, mm-hmm. is like, well, I'm getting sex, so I shouldn't complain. And although yes, but I would say it needs to also, it needs to also
you're not getting what you
like. I think that's especially with men. I think that's what we're told and what's pushed is that like, I'm having sex with you, so like, why are you complaining?
But on the same hand, how is that any different? Okay, but on the same hand, right? How is that any different than telling a woman, well, I fucked you, I don't know why you need me to eat you out or get you off? Well, what do you mean? You got off, I want to get off. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, like, that would be the same thing.
I agree.
Like, just because you had sex doesn't mean
I think that's bullshit.
What you want out of sex.
Personally.
No, I know, I'm just saying, like, I understand, but I'm just saying, though, there are plenty of men out there that feel like, well, we had sex, I don't know what you want. Mm-hmm. And it's like,
but like that helped with us, and I think that space that I was talking about helps in that too, is that because me and you have never treated sex or any sexual things or intimacy like that serious, that it did allow in those spaces, even if I was like, I shouldn't bring this up, or like, I don't know if she'll want to do this, or like even try this or whatever, because we never treated it so serious. Mm-hmm. There were times where I'm like, oh, I can bring this up, or like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like that space allowed that moment of like, hey, do you want to do this? And it made it even easier to talk about. Like, obviously over time now, like, I don't really have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Like 9 times out of 10, I'll be like, hey, you want to do this? And they'll be like, not feeling it. And I'm like, okay, cool. Good talk. Like,
or how can I help you do that for yourself?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to participate, but what can we
But
do
like,
to
what?
help
Yeah,
you?
yeah. But like, what will help you get through this? But
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I just that just kind of stood out to me of like just being like afraid to ask your partner about things like sexually. Like I just like I get it because I've been there and I've definitely been there before you, but like even in our relationship that is really good and that is really like communicative and like things like that, like there's still times that like it just felt awkward.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I feel like when it comes to sex, like it shouldn't be awkward. It should be fun. Like that's the whole point. Like the whole point is not like to just make kids and that's it. Like it's supposed to be fun. And being with your significant other, especially in a marriage, it should be fun. It shouldn't just be like okay, we need to get this out of the way because like you're getting really upset and we haven't had sex in a while. We need to get this over and done with and like then you'll be fine. Like the whole point of finding somebody that you like having sex with is that you like having sex with them. Like, and I just feel like I'm really appreciative of you that like we've never lost that.
Yeah.
That it's always been fun and goofy and like you like that.
I like that you let me be goofy, that you don't expect me to be anything else because I am not good at being anything other than goofy.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not good at sexy.
You have
you
have I've said this to you for years. You have like a 30-second time limit.
Yeah.
Like if you want like, if you want the porn star treatment, you have 30 seconds.
Oh yeah.
And that's it.
That's it.
And then after that, it's straight
Lois
goofy.
Griffin.
Yeah. Yeah. Peter. It's like the worst thing I've ever told you. Because it was just funny to begin with. And then I'm like, I fucking hate that voice. And then now it doesn't go away.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
It's the only one I can successfully do.
It's fine. No, you can do, what's her name from Bob's Burgers?
Yeah, but I can't do her off the top of my head like I can Lois. Like I have to hear her for a while.
Yeah, because Lois is just loud and obnoxious. Anyway. So, thanks for talking with me.
Wow, thanks for having me. Yeah. Just kidding, it's my show too.
Yeah, see, your name.
See, it's mine too.
It's my show too. No.
Your dad said so.
I know. So thanks. I like talking to you.
I like talking to you.
I appreciate when we get to spend time together. Also, I hope people appreciate your booby dance at the beginning of the episode.
I didn't dance. I just was talking about him. I was singing about him.
You were singing about him. How much you liked him. Anyway, I love you.
I love you.
Thanks for tuning in to What's on the Box.
Beans and cornbread, boop, boop. Beans and cornbread.